Hello world and hello friends. Welcome back to another episode of Minecraft. I've been working a little bit on this area in front of my house, trying to flatten it out. I do want to get a place for all of these animals to live, as well as other animals that I can collect. Kind of making a little farm area, maybe a zoo as well, still not sure. But as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that I really need to work on my waterways. And I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with this lake river area. Yeah, whatever it is. So, as you can see behind me, I have started working on that. Once again, I am doing something that I have never done before. First it's just this whole world in general. Second, it's the YouTube. Then the tree. Now this. Terraining. Even all of this area, I think I've mentioned before, I've did the terrain of. I've redone this section just a little bit, and I'm starting to experiment with what exactly I think is going to be best for this. And I think I found something that works. As you can see on the floor of the riverbed, the underwater part, I still have work to do. And I think, at least for right now, I'm going to continue to work on this section, the cliff side. And, for once, it feels like it's been a while. I'm actually going to see how good of a time lapse this could be. Before I do that, I do want to give out my general plan for this river. As you can see, it does have a nice shape to it, where it just curves along this way. So I'm just going to reinforce that shape of it and make it go all the way down. I still haven't decided if it's going to go through the swamp, if it's going to connect to there, or what have you. But at least to create this general shape from right about there all the way down to there, that is my goal. As a start, I don't hate it. I actually kind of like how this turned out. It's a little bit regular, so don't know if I like or dislike that. My brain immediately goes to patterns and consistency and some sort of rhythm to get into to let me get stuff done. And I think you can kind of figure out the pattern I did. I have the moss with an outcropping of the grass. All of the grass had to have stone or andesite beneath it. And at the bottom with tuff. Oh, I do need to actually spread out some pale moss in that tuff. If you're able to see from up here, there's some pale moss in with the tuff, and I did not do that for anything on that side. So let me do that real quick. Alright, that's a little bit more textured. So I think what my plan is if I continue to make this wall go that way eventually, as you can see with the construction layout for that building, it ends at the chunk there. I'm still kind of loosely following inside of chunks. So right about there is that chunk border. And I don't know what the rest of my plans for that direction are. So I figured once I do figure out plans there, I will extend the wall. Which I know seems a little weird, but this is my own world. It's only me I'm annoying. Maybe you guys too. But my apologies. Anyway, so next idea that I have is to kind of keep this as a beach area. It kind of was just naturally that way, and how I laid that out kind of kept it like that. And in all honesty, every once in a while there can be little sand mounds that stick out, so I actually kind of do want to keep that. So I think that's the next thing I'm going to tackle, and maybe try to shape the bottom of the lake. But I think after that, I need to start making that curve on around. But I think with right here in this section, it'll give me an idea of what exactly I want to make for a beach area, and kind of continuing all of that darker area there. So let's get to that part. Well, that has made quite a difference. I'm still fiddling with things, but I've just stuck my head down and kept going. Kind of gently sloped everything down. Nothing too crazy, just kind of like a one step, two step, three step, four step. Um, Actually, it's a little more gentle over here with the sand. So I'm liking it. I can already see that I know I'll need to smooth out that curve a little bit. I keep going back and forth if I want to put a waterfall there, but honestly, I might end up putting like a staircase. I don't know. Staircase, waterfall, something. Might do stuff. I also do know I need to do something with the edge of that. Just having one layer of moss really doesn't make any sense. But at least for a start, missed a moss block there as well. But as a start, this is looking pretty good. As you can see, I kind of also am continuing just the chunks at a time. And honestly, I'm liking this. It's going to be a nice deep riverbed, and I eventually will get to that side, but right now I'll just start with this side and leave it, I think, just down to that far. Once I get to the other riverside, maybe I'll need to raise stuff up or lower stuff down. But already, I've even looked at it before and after of this. I am liking this a lot better, and this looks nice. I know I'm patting myself on the back. I hope you guys like it too. I still got some work to do making this blend in a little bit there and blending in some of the slope, and of course moving all of that out of there. But yeah, progress is looking good. I'm very happy with it. So I'm gonna keep on working for a bit and bring you guys back in just a little bit, hopefully. Maybe it'll be a while. I don't know, but I'm gonna get back to work. So it's been quite a bit, and I've gotten some work done. As I can show you right behind me, I've added a little bit further along, just a little bit more of a section. I don't know if I am going to go too much further for right now, but regardless, I've I've spent a lot of time on this, and I think I've redid that sand area about 3 times. My general idea is that if a river was to come down from that way, go all the way down, sometimes rivers like to overshoot just a little bit before following the correct path. So, kind of creating a little bit of realism, but also, I'm not a geologist or a water person or a river person. I'm just seeing what looks good. I have a few more finishing touches I want to do in this area. I think that if I am to add the realism and the water would go this way, it wouldn't just stay dry all the time. There'd be a little bit of water here and there, some maybe mud, some plants growing, and that's the same with the bottom. Like all of this mud that's down there, I will add some sort of plant life. Even maybe on that beach, I'll add some plant life. But I think I want to do just a few more touches with that, and I'm actually do one big pass, kind of shaping just in general this side of the river, maybe a little bit further down, maybe to about there, give or take, and then putting the bottom of the river in. So yeah, this project is almost done. I'm excited for what it's going to look like at the end, and I'm excited to finish it up. All right, a little bit of work later, and I believe I'm good with the beach. I might still tweak a little bit more with it, but as you can see, I've added some sandstone to mix up the colors and some birch planks. If you actually look closely, that is what I've used to actually show that the sand is a little bit more watered down with the birch, and then a little bit more watered down with the oak. So I continue that going on there, added a little bit, maybe a little bit of water gets over there, and then I realized that beach also needs some of those details. So I added a few birch spots and a few sandstone spots. And I think for right now, I'm going to call that done. I think I'm going to add a little bit more detail later. I've been wanting to get a fishing hut somewhere around this corner since the beginning, and I think I might even put that somewhere along the beach, on the beach, something like that. And the last thing I want to do just to finish up this whole project is to actually kind of outline the river on this side as well to get that general swoop shape that I'm looking for and to actually pull the riverbed, the bottom of the river, onto both sides. So I think in general, I'm sorry, I am distracted by actually how good this looks. I I impressed myself. So yeah, getting the general river shape, kind of maybe keeping a little bit of the wiggle of that, but making it be straight all along here, and then I think cutting off that island there to right about there. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. I want to keep that being a swamp, but I might make it be more of a swamp, kind of like this side. So everything down this end, and like even that might be like a true bay, but at least from maybe like right there to right about, I think I said over there before, making this be a true river. So I think I'm gonna make sure I got all the supplies ready, everything I'm gonna need. Then I'm gonna boot up a time lapse and hopefully boot up a time lapse and make a good showing of it because this is gonna be a little bit of a grind. So let's get to it. Well, as you can see, I did make a time lapse. It took quite a while. This whole effort took me about 5 hours to do. I think that's the longest grind I've done, at least in one sitting, at least in this world. I don't know if I've ever sat down for 5 hours and grinded like I did here. And honestly, I could have done myself a few favors to start this off. The first one being I could have gotten a little bit more prepared on materials. I don't think I realized the absolute scale of dirt I would need to actually make this river. Like, I thought to an extent that I'd be digging up as much dirt as I would be putting down so it would balance out. But no, I was wrong. I even had to go back and use some grass that I had instead of just normal dirt because I ran out of dirt and I needed something. Now, it took me until I was almost completed with the project that I remembered I actually had a stash of dirt in my mud hut. So I mean, I could have done it better. Like I said, things. One thing I could have done better. Another thing I could have done better is actually giving myself a little faster break speed. My pickaxes are still efficiency 4, and while efficiency 5 isn't that much better, I could have gotten a beacon beforehand to be able to insta break all of the stone, granite, andesite, whatever I ran into. I mean, shovels, of course, they break everything instantly at what, efficiency 3 or something? I had it at efficiency 4, so I was doing perfectly fine. Nothing to complain about there. I did almost break a shovel though. So that's the amount of dirt and sand and gravel that I had to get out of my way. The other thing, and the last biggest thing that I probably should have done first, is gotten a conduit or gotten a brewing stand set up because I had to take a lot of breaks to catch my breath and to make sure I wasn't drowning. Respiration and Aqua Affinity really helps out, but I think I have most of the stuff I need to make a conduit just by my side adventures I've been taking, so probably should have done that. Live and learn. I'll probably have that be one of my next projects to do. Now I will say this river is not complete. The mud's down. Don't get me wrong, the mud's down. I'm not going to add any more mud. Not yet, at least. Maybe further down the line. But I do still want to add some seagrass and some plant life to make this river not just look like a black void, because that's kind of what it is. Which I mean, that was the point of putting the mud down. But yeah, things to improve upon. I'll get to it later. Now, honestly, I still did have a lot of fun with this. It just took a very long time. My brain was feeling it, my hands were feeling it. It's a lot of clicking because if you notice, I am putting down the dirt and then I'm using a water bottle to put mud, make all that into mud. And for some reason, with water physics in Minecraft, there'd be places where there weren't water source blocks, and that made it even trickier and more frustrating. So I had to do some frustrating stuff here and there. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm very happy this is over. I'm going to do a little bit lighter projects for, I think, maybe the next episode, just to give myself a little bit of a break. I did get a visit by some pillagers during this, which was scary because they were right on top of where my toolbox was. I left it out in the open. So I had to go grab the trident I found. Yeah, I found a trident. I forgot to mention that last episode. I don't know how. I got really lucky I think the first round I came across with the trident, dropped the trident. So, yeah, I got really lucky with that. But anyway, river's done. I'm very happy. Now I've been able to relax, and I think that's going to be about it for the episode. I think. Yeah, you'll see me there in a second. And here we are flying over the newest addition to the base, the river. I am very happy with how this turned out. And as you can see, there is still some expansions that will need to be done. I'll need to expand it this way and out into the ocean itself. And I am also realizing recently that I still got to do something with the witch hut. So maybe that's going to get in the way of my plans. Maybe that's going to help build onto the plans. Still haven't gotten there yet, but I do believe the witch is, yeah, still inside of there. Hi, witch. Nice to see you. Oh, anyway. So, yeah, you can kind of see how I kept the pattern going the whole way through. It is rather uniform and rhythmic is I maybe the way to say it. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I think that it is still a good looking river, and as I add some greens inside of it, it will help it look even better. Now, with this left side, side away from my village, I'm not sure when I'm going to get to doing that coastline, but I know over here I will probably get to this side sooner rather than later. I also do have ideas of adding more of these sandy beaches along the side of it, especially in places where the terrain naturally does swoop a little bit lower. So maybe in that area, maybe that area over there. And yeah, there's still a lot of more work to be done, but I think right now I I think I'm going to be done for this episode. But I do have two more things to say. The first being I used to never understand how people could get a bunch of chests just lying around during a project. I was like, oh my gosh, they just don't understand how to organize. I am going to be so much better than that. Well, let me tell you, I that thought is wrong. I did my very best. I really did my very best. But when it comes to removing parts of a river, you get a lot of stone. A lot of stone. And I don't even have a place for this inside my storage system. Same thing for sand. I don't know if I have space for all of this sand. Now, all of this other stuff, I will have space for. Hopefully, probably. But it was just so much easier to deposit it here than to deposit it and organize it back in my base. Also, this right here, this shulker box, was full of tuff. I was expecting to use a lot more tuff for that wall, that cliffside, and honestly, it's good that I have this amount of tuff, because a lot of the tuff I had ended up being in bricks and such for, I don't know, probably stuff I did past there. Oh, inside. Inside I used a lot of bricks. That makes sense. I've been wondering that. So all of you YouTubers that I've been watching over these years that I could just not understand how you would get a bunch of chests lying about, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. Yeah, vanilla Minecraft, that's just one of the struggles. But I can always get past it. I'll organize, I'll clean this up, hopefully soon. The other thing that I'm not the most happy with is how I train this area. I think this corner's a little weird. I might tweak this a little bit later. And also, that. This was a wall that I created, if any of you remember that. And it looks good. I like it. But there was something here. I made a secret entrance. And now this secret entrance doesn't mean much if it's hidden. So yeah, this whole concept, this whole idea of me making an underground base as well, I will have to revisit this a little bit later. And right now, I've just pulled the rug over it, and yeah, save it for another day. I will give us one final look from above, looking down at the river that is newly renovated, and just the whole blank new canvas that I have to work with. And let's not fall. But I'm excited for what's going to come next, and I'm very happy with the work I have completed. With that being said, I think that's going to be all for this episode. I'm very happy you joined me for this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Subscribe down below, leave a comment if you know any ways to improve this river. Because, like I said, I don't make rivers, I don't study rivers, so I'm kind of just making this up as I go. Any advice is appreciated, and yeah, I don't know what I'll get up to next episode. Maybe this area behind me, because that was initially the plan for this episode. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you all for watching. See you next time. And until then, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and be good to the world. This has been Radio, signing off.